Come check this out. No, closer. I mean, closer. Can you see this little thing? All right. Hey everyone, Jason McCann from Mountain Tactical, and thank you for joining us for what I consider to be the ultimate Tikka Varminter build. Now, I have always had a fascination with the 17 Fireball. This little guy, it's tiny, has a really cool history. So this started out life as a 222 or a triple deuce. Very, very popular varmint round, and throughout it's kind of like a little history. It ended up becoming the 223. That's a whole other road that we can do another video on. But Remington created a pistol for long-range target shooting called the XP100. It was a single-shot pistol, and it shot the 222 and then a shortened version of the 222 called the 221 Fireball. Now, wildcatters are a weird bunch, and everyone saw this little 221 Fireball, and they're like, hey, could we neck it up and throw something bigger, maybe subsonic, kind of like the, what would become the 300 Blackout? That was originally the J.D. Jones 300 Whisper. 221 Fireball necked up to 30 cal. Now, other wildcatters wanted to go smaller, so he ended up with what's called the 20 Vartarg, 20 Varmint Target, which is a 20 caliber version, and then we had the 17 Mach 4. Now, the 17 Mach 4 was called Mach 4 because it went over 4,000 feet per second out of this little single-shot pistol. Really, really cool round. Now, Remington, because it was the 221 Remington Fireball, they're like, well, hey, let's commercialize this, and they created the 17 Remington Fireball. And the reason why they went with the 17 Remington Fireball is because the 17 Remington, which was a 223 neck down to 17 caliber, was kind of a dismal failure. It was simply too much powder behind a tiny bullet, and it had major carbon fouling. It was pretty much a nightmare to run. So they already had the single shot pistol. They formalized the 17 Fireball, and we got this really cool little varmint round. Now, in 17s, I mean, we've all shot, or almost all of us have shot the little 17 HMR. So just for some size comparison here, I had the little 17 HMR, little teeny guy, absolutely fantastic varmint round. The 17 Fireball does everything the 17 HMR does, faster, harder hitting, bucks the wind because of how fast it's going, virtually zero recoil, and it's a centerfire cartridge that can be reloaded. And so what you have is your little micro cartridges. So you have your 17 Mach 2, you have your 17 HMR, your 17 Hornet, the K Hornet, and the 17 Fireball. And there's a bunch of other little 17s, but those are kind of the popular ones. So the challenge with this little guy is it doesn't work in a repeating action very well because it was designed around a single shot pistol. Now, Remington did come out with a Remington 700 variant that had some really unique feed ramps, and I think we found a picture, so we'll put it up on the screen. So it had some unique feed ramps that would actually load the 221 Fireball and the 17 Fireball from a repeater internal box magazine. Now, it was kind of a production hassle, and Remington discontinued it. And they honestly make very little ammo for these rifles. So most of the 17 Fireballs that are out there are either 17 Mach 4s that have been converted to 17 Fireball, or are other custom actions. Like Cooper came out with 17 Fireball repeater. Many shooters will take an old CZ 221 Fireball. It's a control round feed action, so it's really cool because it actually grabs the round when it comes out of the magazine, so you don't have feeding issues. And the old Socko A1s are another control round feed rifle that works very well with these little cartridges. So, and again, just when we're talking about little cartridges, you can see why these bigger rifles are a problem, because hey, here's a 6.5 Creedmoor. So a modern action is designed to load around this long. You start putting these tiny things in there, lots of problems show up. You know, and again, just for fun, there's our 300 Win Mag. So, why am I fascinated with this, and why are we going to build a Tikka in a 17 Fireball? And my answer is, why not? You know, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be fun. As far as I don't know anybody who's done it. Tikka did sell the 17 Remington for a little while, but they had the same carbon fouling issues that everybody else has, and they discontinued it because it was more of a customer service headache than it was worth. So we're going to try to build a repeater. So what do we have? If you've been watching our teardown of or anatomy of a Tikka T3x video, we have a plain T3 action, T3x action. Now, we've been working on some barrel projects, and you should have seen the look on my barrel guy's face when I said, hey, I want a 28-inch 17 caliber barrel. And he's like, you realize that means I have to drill almost an 1/8-inch hole, about 30 inches through steel, make it straight, then ream it a little bigger than that, and then lap it. And I said, you know what? You're right. Let's make 2 just in case I screw the first one up. He did not quit. He made a just fantastic couple of barrels for this project. So real excited to shoot it. And then on Black Friday, Macmillan had this Tikka T3 inletted A5 stock with sniper fill, and they were blowing it out. There's an error in the inlet, so it's a blemished, and it's ugly as sin, but we can fix that with a little bit of paint. And I figured, you know what, this thing's heavy. For a varmint rifle, I really want this to be a 25-pound rifle that I set up over gophers or for coyotes and shoot off a tripod, and there's just absolutely no recoil. I never come off target, and just let this little fireball fly. So let's dig into it. All right, well, she's together, and this thing's a beast. We have the sniper fill on the Macmillan A5 stock, so this is heavy. We have a 28-inch varmint barrel, 17 caliber. It's just ridiculous. Tikka action. And yeah, definitely, I mean, when Macmillan stock sold this stock to me, they said there were some inlet issues. There's definitely some inlet issues that we need to fix. And the barrel channel's not large enough for this barrel, so we'll have to fix that. But, moment of truth, I removed the firing pin because I don't have any dummy rounds, so there's no firing pin in the bolt. 17 Fireball and a 223 magazine. Let's see what's going on here. I was worried this was going to be an issue, but let's dive into this and see why this isn't feeding. Okay, so to figure out what is going on with this rifle, I kind of mocked up the rifle here. So we're going to look at the action, the bolt, the cartridge, and figure out why this is not feeding. So I am going to hide the stock. Now I'm going to make the action transparent so you can see what's going on here. And so you can see the bolt, the magazine, and inside the action, this little angle right here is the feed ramp inside the action. And if we rotate to the side, you can see where the chamber starts. And so if I go over here, and here's our little Fireball cartridge inside the action. And so you can see how it's going to go in through the magazine. And then when it gets about here, this little guy, the tip of the bullet's touching the feed ramp. And so because this thing's so small and this is so low, really this is not ideal. And so let's take a look at a little different angle here. So the other thing that's going to happen is, as soon as the cartridge gets past the feed ramps, it's going to pop up. And it's going to pop up here when that bolt pushes it forward. And then the other problem we have is, even if it made it up the feed ramp, and even though it popped out of the feed lips of the bolt,
this thing's kind of in no man's land. That bullet tip is just going to hit the barrel right here. We are not aligned with the chamber. So I had a couple of ideas, and I'm going to try one. I'm going to hide that magazine, and I designed a single shot follower, and you can see that would be sitting too low. So we're going to hide that round and see this round. So this round sits on top of the single shot follower, and you can see this fills in that no man's land right here. And so what that's going to do is hold the round in a higher location inside the action, and when that bolt's pushing that forward, we should be able to get the tip of the bullet into the chamber and slide in. So let's print this single shot follower and see if this solves the problem for us.
All right, take two. So we have our single shot follower that is designed to fill that gap we saw in the SolidWorks model and that virtual model, that we could see where the round was actually falling unsupported. So this is tight. I actually kind of had to tap it into place. That's how tight I made this, and there is no gap anymore for the round to fall into. And we want to at least just get out and shoot this thing, and we'll figure out how to make it a repeater later. I just want to get this out in the field. So let's see if this single shot follower works. Oh, man. Let's try that again. Whoa.